Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. To fight CPS and stop taking our children. I'm broadcasting from Southern California, from Surf City, USA. I want to give a warm welcome to all you that are battling the child protection system. That system is a branch of social service that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, and also help a family need, such as areas of food, clothing, housing, education for the children, medical, and work and a job. They're supposed to help you, those social workers are. On top of that, if they need to take apart your family, they need to put it back together. It's called family reunification. If the children are in imminent danger, they will take them from you, and you need to get them back, because the best parents to raise children are the biological parents. They're every one of you. So I want to give you a warm welcome out there that you've joined me to learn about how to fight CPS and stop taking your children. Now, I am a family man, and I have been fighting CPS for 15 years. I, too, have had experience in this horrible agency. Yes, I mean horrible. They're not transparent. They're not honest. They lie. They also steal from you. It's a money-making business that they're involved in. They want to make $1 trillion a year in this business. They make money because the money comes from the federal government, unaudited, and delivered to the state, who the state turns gives it to the county. And there's no transparency. There's no audit of the funds. There's no check and balance. There are no supervisors. There's nobody watching what CPS is doing. They will violate your civil rights and constitutional rights. The majority of CPS is bad. I'm not saying all CPS is bad, because there's a few good CPS workers out there that believe in families, that believe in helping families, that believe in having the children being raised by their mother and father. There are a few of you out there, and I really applaud you. Some of you actually come on my show. I've had 3 of you talk about what you do with CPS. So this forum, or this room, is strictly to talk about CPS, comments, questions, how your case is doing and what you're doing and so forth. And so there are several ways to participate in this podcast. And one of the first ways that I have right now is just being in this room. When you're in this room, you are participating, and you are interacting by taking notes, and also you can display emojis such as thumbs up, hearts, and smiley faces. You can also show me stars by casting stars. Check below if you want to follow. I'd love to have you be one of my followers to subscribe to my podcast. And if you want to be notified when I'm on, hit the notification button. So the first way is to be in this podcast, be in this room. And again, it's a warm welcome. Now, I'm not an attorney. As I said, I'm a family man. I'm a father of 6 children. I've had 2 families. Unfortunately, the first one didn't work out. After 10 years, I lost my daughter there at the age of 3. My second family has been quite a struggle the last 15 years with the child protection system. They're very corrupt, and I've had my children, my 3 youngest one, stolen, trafficked into foster care, and abused in foster care. And so it is a bad thing you're going through. I feel for you. I know what you're going through. Now, if you want to say something, such as make a comment, or you have a question, all you have to do is text in a comment or a question to me, but it should be about CPS, the Child Protection System. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. And when you do so, please show me your name. First name is fine. I don't need to see your last name. Then show the city or county and state If you don't want to give the city, the county's fine. And then further, if you're from another country, which I have about 14 of you that have texted in from countries, I like to see your city and country. I've had Bangladesh text in. I've had New Delhi, India. I've had a country from the Middle East that was in Arabic, and I don't know the name of the Arabic country. I've had the continent of Africa. I've had several countries there. I've had Liberia on the western shores of North Africa. And then I've had Rwanda, which is in Central East Africa near Lake Victoria. Small country. Then I've had Mozambique on the east side across from Madagascar, the island of Madagascar. And then I've had the western province of South Africa on the west coast. Then going up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom. And then I've had Denmark and Sweden also commented in. Then across the pond to North America, I've had several of the provinces of Canada call in, including their First Nation people. And then I've had the North America, all 50 states of the U.S., including Washington, D.C., that either text or comment in. And I've also had the native Indians from United States have called in. And I've even had the social workers mentioned earlier, three of them. So I'm open to all the people that have positive things and constructive things they want to help with the CPS matter. Now we go south the border, Mexico City. I had a father there looking for his daughters in Louisiana. Then we dropped down to South America. And on the East Coast, I've had Guyana, and that is east of Venezuela, north of Brazil. And then across the Pacific and the land down under, I've had Australia, the Gold Coast of Australia, Melbourne from the state of Victoria. So these countries have brought in valuable information about CPS. It's a worldwide problem because what's happened is that CPS, and I'm not saying 100% of CPS is, but the majority of the people I've spoken to, about 90% of the over 500 plus people, have said all they do is they have these false allegations made on them and they take your children. So anyway, type in your comments or your questions about CPS and then be complete with your CPS case. I like to know the makeup of your family, whether both parents are involved, whether you're a single parent, whether the children have different parents, and furthermore, the ages of the children, the sex of your children. And then I'd like to know how the children were taken from your home, if they were taken, And then what were the allegations, the details of the allegations, and where you at on your case? Are you at the beginning of the dependency court? Are you halfway through? It's been a couple of years. Tell me that also. And do the same thing when you do that with your call-ins. So that right way is the second way. Now, the third way is to be a guest on my podcast. To be a guest on my podcast, all you have to do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace. She works hard to maintain professionalism of this podcast, and she will get you on the show by emailing her. Now, her email is grace@vincentwdavis.com. grace@vincentwdavis.com. Now I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. I'm on Monday through Sunday. I'm on in the morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. And I'm on the evening at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. There is exceptions. On Sunday, I come on 2 hours early at 8 o'clock because I have church that I attend. And then on Friday Night Lights, I have a football game that I go to at 7 o'clock. So my podcast on Fridays at 4 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Times. I'll let you know about any other exception, but that's my times. And so you email Grace with your times. I want to be on Bob's morning show on Sunday. I want to be on Bob's Saturday evening show, or Bob's Wednesday morning show, or Bob's Monday evening show. That's all you have to say. She'll take care of the rest. She'll email you back, give you a link for StreamYard. Don't lose that link. That link will get you on StreamYard. And if you get knocked off, use that link again. It's still good. And that way you can get on the podcast there. She'll also explain to you what to do and what not to do, like no eating food on the show, no smoking on the show. Also, there is no names of children, social workers, or the judges on the show. So to be my guest, I can take 9 of you. I have 10 spots that I can take as a guest. Now, someone has entered the room, and sometimes they may say hi or sometimes they're not, but welcome you to this room. Now, I have my regulars, and I always give them a reminder notice about coming aboard. But it's a little tricky now because now you have to enter through my Facebook page to be able to post a comment in this room. So you find myself, Bob Pace, and Facebook. You just look up Fight CPS Bob Pace, and you'll see me live. Click it. It'll take you here, and you'll be able to do your comments and whatnot. I know that we have a vice president debate taking place, so some people may be tuned to that. But I hope all of you, it can be recorded or you can see the debate later. It is interesting. Politics is very interesting this time of year. Politics can also help with CPS. CPS has been so bad. We lost a senator from Georgia, Nancy Schaefer, who died trying to fight CPS. She wanted to abolish CPS and start over from scratch. Anyway, she'll be sadly missed. And CPS has really become troublesome. There's no question about that. Now, the last thing you can do right now to interact with this podcast is to call me on my number. This is my office number, and you call me at 626 698 0990. And I will put you on speakerphone, and you'll be able to talk and help other people, help yourself, and talk about your case, either comments or questions. And so I really appreciate all of you, and I know how hard it is. A warm hug goes out to all of you because you're fighting a very terrible system. I did not know some of the things I've learned the last 15 years. If I knew what I did now, my children never would have been trafficked into foster care. My family would never have been broken up. And, how it all starts is you get allegations that come in from either lay people or professionals. Now, professionals go and get training. And having a teaching credential in secondary education, you have to go through child classes on how to suspect neglect and abuse. It's required by law that as a teacher, a doctor, a policeman, a nurse, a caregiver, the principal, the counselor, etc., has to report any signs of neglect or abuse. Now, they're going through trainings. Those are called professional. And they will, from time to time, notice things. And those sometimes they'll turn out they're true. Sometimes they turn out they're just an injury from sports or whatever. But they do call in and make that claim. The other kind of person is your lay person, the guy, your neighbor next door, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. Maybe it's your wife. Maybe if they want to alienate you from your children. It may be a family member. In my case, it was my wife's family members. It was really sad. They have her mother, her father, her three sisters, and her son constantly call the child protection system every week and tell them that we weren't taking care of our children. We're not feeding them, not paying the utility bills, not giving them showers, not having clothes, left them untended, didn't go to school. None of that's true. I had a multi-million-dollar home, and I lived in a private community with CC&Rs. You cannot get away with doing all that. And when they did come out, I met with them in the lights. I showed them, my utility bills. I even brought them in the house and showed where we had food prep and where they could eat and so forth. It wasn't until, unfortunately, my dad had passed away, my mom was slowly, that I decided to take their belongings. And I had to move the belongings inside my house. So I tried to centralize them in the living room. And so that was neglect to them. And so that's how they finally got me when they had to get a detective to follow me to force me to come and open my home. As you'll find out later, you do not need to talk to them. You don't need to open the door to them. You do not need to turn your children to them. There's only certain ways. You need to know your constitutional and civil rights. And I strongly recommend that you Google your constitution and civil rights in the city you live in. Like, for instance, if it's a small city, like say you live in Athens, Georgia, you may want to say Athens and Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is a big city. Or if you live where I live in a small city, you may want to say Surf City and Los Angeles. And that way it gives you a better spectrum of answers. But, that's one of the things you need to do is you can learn so much from the internet. There's so much you can do from the internet. Now, my phone is live. You can call in right now, 626-698-0990. Also, you can, not also, make sure you do not call me before my shows or after my shows because I'll not be available. I cannot talk before my shows or after my shows. So call me during my showtime hours. Now, we have several ways that we can go with this podcast. It is interactive, but I like some help from some of you listeners out there. Thank you for the thumbs up. That was nice. And so you guys can call in or you can text me a question, but we can go where we can talk more about my case or more about what type of social workers are out there that are doing the child protection system and how to fight them. We can talk about my rules. We can talk about topics. I have over 75 topics open up. Things like the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1975, the 388 motion, etc. There's a lot of things I can talk about. And so we can do that. We also can talk about my rules. I've come up with 5 rules that will help you with fighting your CPS case. I also subscribe to Quora, which is an application that has important topics. They always have a question and then they have an answer and discussion. So what I do is I centralize mine to CPS. So anytime I see Quora, it's about a CPS matter. I read the question, I read the answer, and then you guys can think about how else you would answer the question. But that's Quora's digest. As I say, this room is open to how you guys want to interact in this room here. Now, I did reach out to Faye in Richmond, Kentucky to be on my show. Hopefully she will join us. Oh, good. I hate this sometimes, this phone. Trying to get to Vonage. There's what I'm trying to get to. Okay. And now I'm contacting Natalie in West Hollywood, California. And wait, we got a call. Great. We got a call. Super. Good evening. And who am I talking to?
Hi, Bob. It's KK.
Oh, hi, KK. I haven't heard from you in weeks.
I know. I've been trying to. We went to fact finding on the 17th, and then again on the 23rd. So
Okay.
I've been, like, trying to get things
Okay.
together.
Let me try to turn you up. Is your volume up? Are you close to your phone?
Yeah, I'm close to my phone.
Now it's better. For all you listeners out there, KK is a regular. She's from Brooklyn, New York, and she had a very bad CPS case. You want to refresh our listeners about your CPS case?
Basically, because I've been involved with CPS off and on for 10 years, I have gained a lot of knowledge. I have become an attorney during this time, and I'm still being biased against, based on me being knowledgeable. So, now it's to the point where they've suspended all communication, but have given my ex-husband, who literally is a fugitive, and nobody cares. Everything for the parenting plan has been disregarded. My children have been brainwashed, and basically custodial interference has been like a big stressor. Foster parent is implementing, just parental separation, period. And it's just really disgusting that it's just, our children are basically a dollar sign.
Well, you were last telling me that you supposedly got CPS on the ropes. What happened?
Yeah, well, basically nobody wants to talk to me from CPS, the CPS Commissioner's Office, the Office of Family and Children Services. I was told by the Commissioner's executive assistant that based on the reports that I have put in on, bias and discrimination, that they don't want to talk to me without my attorney present, but I have been requesting that for almost 2 years now. And now that they realize that they are talking to an officer of the court with knowledge and violations of contempt, violations of, my therapeutic rights and civil liberties, they have no idea how much this is going to make a sonic boom. They really don't know. And we don't go back to continue fact finding until November, which is basically violating my due process because it's going on like almost 22 months now.
Wow. Okay, hold on 1 second here. I'm having trouble with.
Where's Faye? Faye's not on today?
I'm sorry, Faye. Well,
Yeah.
she might be. I've requested her to be on. Oh, God. My power cord isn't plugged in. My batteries get low on my computer, so shut off.
Is there a debate tonight?
Yes, it's on right now. It's on your phone. They'll play over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Vance is doing a good job.
Then they'll pick it apart.
But more worse is that Iran now has bombed Israel big time.
Bob, you do know that we can hear you, right?
Yeah, I guess you can still hear me on the phone, but maybe you could still hear me. Sorry, I thought when I removed myself. Anyway, I'm back. I had a power issue. You're right. I didn't mute myself on the phone, but anyway, it's dinner time here. My family's eating, so I'm back on the show here. So what is the biggest problem that we can help you out with, or what is the problem with your case?
As of right now, well, because we don't go back to continue. Like the defense rested right now, so basically it's my testimony that we're gonna come back to when we commence back we commence in November. But the thing is, it's been like you drag everything out. We have an hour here for trial, half an hour there for trial. So you want me to come literally an hour and a half to a courthouse to get searched for 15 minutes to get through security, to go and sit for 30 minutes of trial time, do it all over again the following month, and then 2 months after that. This is a violation of my due process. The fact that it has been going on for almost 570 now, it's ridiculous. None of the attorneys can agree on dates. Everybody's on trial. Everybody's on intake. Everybody's on supervision. It's Friday. They have vacation. Their mom's foot broke. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
This is not something. And then because of the faster timeline, that if your child spends 15 out of the 22 consecutive calendar months in foster care, then they can change the goal to adoption based on meeting the federal, statute of that line. And this is what they do. They drag out your due process, and a lot of parents, based on lack of knowledge or lack of resources, don't know these things are a severe infringement on, the relationship or the strength in the relationship. It is also a way to sever and basically just tear away the bond that you have with your children.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional, unlawful, and just unethical. It's just really sad and insulting that, one of the main bullet points of being a CPS worker is that you should have children yourself. Because if you don't have children, you cannot be a textbook junkie and tell me how to be a parent.
Well, some of the social workers are bad with their own children. In Kentucky, Faye was telling about one social worker that was arrested, but she got out and got to keep her job.
Exactly. That's what I'm. But during COVID, all of these social workers, Mr. Boss, a lot of these social workers, a lot of these case planners, a lot of these, these emergency response workers, a lot of them were getting cases in New York left and right during the COVID quarantine. And it's amazing how, there were more deaths related to child abuse, neglect, and maltreatment in New York City in the last 3 years having to, do a COVID than there was in the last 10 years of negligence and the coercion and corruption in the foster care system. Like, it's really unfair, especially children in the urban demographic or children within the lower poverty guideline or, the illiterate parents or parents with lack of computer technology or just basic education. It's not fair to our children we are the majority technically, but we still are considered the minority based on our lack of acknowledgement, our lack of concern, and our lack of being a priority in the Make America Great Again society lives. It's a stigma. It's unfair.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that I've helped you in the show that's helped you? Is there anything you could single out?
Absolutely. Miss Carol, she said a lot of good things that say it's always type of things, and you have always given good advice, on Attorney Vincent's platform. And I'm grateful for all the platforms, but because you have the show that runs twice a day, every day, it's like it's easier to catch you and get more, little hits or little tidbits of advice. Because even though I am an attorney, I'm still learning. I haven't tried any cases yet, but I am being very proactive in mine. Yeah,
you might tell the listeners that you went back and got your law degree in dependency law, right?
Dependency law with a minor in family law,
Yeah, so she also, KK went back to be an attorney so she can understand it more, but she has an attorney. She knows you have to have an attorney. There's no question about that.
Right, even as an attorney. And the problem with that is, it's like even some of my family members are under the assumption that, I didn't take the bar. based on, it takes 6 or 7 years to become an attorney. Mr. Bob, if I have been involved with CPS off and on for 10 years, what makes people think that I have not been studying all that time?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, it takes a level of smarts to pass the bar, but it's basic knowledge. And if you are living in the experience and actually going through it, then you have a physical attachment to the need to be able to advocate for yourself. So it's going to motivate you to the point where you need to be better. Destruction. They see financial compensation from the very beginning.
Yeah, I will concur with you on that. Do you remember how your case got started? Do you remember, was it allegations that were called in against you?
The original allegation was for DV because my ex-husband assaulted my 11-year-old, which is the stepchild, by pulling her foot to a bed frame.
Okay.
So, there was a case open based on that, and a safety assessment was done, which I passed with flying colors. I had implemented the order of protection, got him arrested, separated myself, and safeguarded my children. They were supposed to implement preventative service from September 4th of 22 until February 8th of 2023, until the removal. They implemented no resources. There was no extrinsic circumstance or imminent risk for removal. They took my children from school with no warrant and no emergency circumstance because there was no imminent risk. I was evaluated and released within 45 minutes of the same day prior to going to court for the decision.
Now, with your investigation, did they come to your home?
No, they didn't. That's what I'm saying. They took my children from school. They never came to my home until after my children were remanded.
Now, why did the school give up your children? Did they have a court order?
Not at all. And that's another thing I'm going through, because when I reached out to the school prior, interactions with CPS, I was called to, to be made aware. Once CPS was called again and my children were then told that they were going to be taken into custody, I was told by the principal at my children's school at the time that was a courtesy and they didn't have to notify me. You must notify every parent.
Well, wait a minute. Don't you have to fill out a card at the beginning of every school year that who can pick up your children, who can take your children?
Absolutely, Bob. And in New York City.
And I don't know of any law that says CPS can arbitrarily pick up a children from school. They can come to interview school, but they have to notify the parents. The parents don't have to be in the same room, but they can come and interview the child. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So they violated your rights. They violated your rights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know I have a civil case as well as a defamation of character and a violation of my disability discrimination by the human rights.
Right.
I've already filed complaints with the Human Rights Division and the Division of Human Services, I think. The Commission on Human Rights and the Division of Human Services. But they're both in Washington, D.C. I filed a complaint with both of them. I went to the ACLU when I was speaking with Mike Barth and I think his name was Carlos. I went to the ACLU. I reached out to the American Disabilities Association. I reached out to the Attorney General based on negligence being implemented and this corruption going as a chain of command down the line. And every time there is somebody that actually, produces some type of progress, they are either transferred or coincidentally, they resign. So anytime that productivity is being displayed, there's a standstill with that. They don't want anything to be done in the best interest of the child.
Okay.
And it's just, they owe me well over 140 plus hours of parenting time. They have never allowed me to follow the parenting plan from the beginning.
Well, after you picked up your children from school and the principal called you, what did you do next?
I expressed to them that CPS is not allowed to talk children without me being present. And if they do, that is a violation of my educational and civil rights.
And what the schools say then?
They literally, and I quote Mr. Bates, said, well, honestly, Ms. Richardson, if we call you, it is a courtesy. We don't have to notify you.
Then did you ever ask him the question, why you allow my children to be stolen?
Oh, I asked the chancellor, who is now stepping down in New York City. I don't know if you're aware, but I asked the chancellor's office as well as the APS commissioner's office, and I was told, well, those. I said, well, according to your policy and protocol that is written, these things are being violated. I was told by the executive assistant to the commissioner of the CPS that those policies are outdated and nobody's going to talk to me because they own everything in the city. And I have to go to New Jersey or Connecticut because I've been burned in the state of New York.
Well, you're not the only one that had been burned in New York. There seems to be a lot of people who've been burned in New York.
Oh, I know. Miss Stacy, too. Miss Stacy, she's really good with Miss G. Like, I watch everybody on stuff. Like,
yeah.
Like, everybody, you know? And it's just, I'm waiting for Mr. Vince and Miss G to come to New York. I heard they were coming to New York soon.
Oh, good. Question. What about the safety plan? They ever talk to you about having your children be kept by a relative, or how did you decide where your children would go?
I implemented that as a less restrictive alternative to removal. I asked my sister, who is military, who has been cleared numerous times, who was a foster parent previously to somebody else, as well as a kinship resource for me. They told me that I could not implement an ICPC or have that accommodation because I tried it before and there was lack of supervision. But yet you placed my children back with a resource that was abusive and, you know, just overall made my child at 8 years old want to kill herself.
Yes, so sad.
She made her hate him. You know, she said he made her hate herself.
Yeah.
At 8 years old, like, you know, you don't corrupt innocence like that based on your decline to me or your hate to me. It's not okay to corrupt innocence like that.
Now, if this happened again, what would you do differently?
I would be mindful of the company I keep, as well as exposing my children to behaviors or, fake supporters who don't wish our family or foundation well, just want to come in and see what they can use as leverage once they get what they got, and then, throw it under the bus.
Yeah. The reason why I was trying to ask you this is I'm trying to share with my listeners steps. Like with me, I would have got an attorney right away. My problem was delay of getting an attorney. That hurt me. And since we're talking about attorney,
Well, it did me too.
Go ahead.
It did me too. This is my fourth attorney. The three represent the three lawyers I had prior to this. They were, public defenders, and because this one firm I worked with for the last 10 years, they've never disappointed me until this 10-year case where my rights could be up for grabs based on, the prior removals and the underlying quote unquote trauma that I have implemented on my children to cause them to be stabilized every time they have interaction with me. It causes therapeutic decline. Like, I'm considered the trigger, the stressor. I'm the person that constantly implements unsafe situations due to me being diagnosed mentally, as bipolar and with DID, that I sometimes lose touch with reality and have a severe mental breakdown that causes ultimate psychosis of erratic behavior. So now, the people that put these orders to show cause or motions and writs in to get these, resources or reunification tactics removed are speaking on falsified information because they don't have the authority to make those statements when they're not clinicians, and they don't have any corroborating evidence from any clinicians that have interacted with people with my illness.
Yes.
There's no expert testimony. There's no certified, affirmation or statement corroborating those so-called alleged facts. You got to be kidding me with this. You got to make it make sense.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to my rule number one about getting an attorney. As KK would tell you, you need an attorney. Now, I waited a year before I hired Vincent W. Davis. Now, Vincent W. Davis produces podcasts. I want to thank him for all his efforts. He has his own podcast. Anyway, he produces podcasts. He is also a dependency juvenile family attorney. He knows dependency law quite well and family and juvenile. He also has fought for 35 years against the child protection system and has beaten them and gotten your children back. So he's a real deal. He's a trial attorney, and he is fighting cases in his home base of Arcadia, which is south of LA. He has a case in San Bernardino, a case in Northern California, a case in Oklahoma. He'll go anywhere, defend you. He has a retainer, and you have to talk to him about his retainer. But right now, I have a special deal with him. He can do what's called a Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. It's a special arrangements that I've made. Now, it's at the lower screen. You should see it. It says book a discounted Zoom consultation with attorney Vincent Davis for up to 30 minutes. And that is because of me. And he only would charge you $60 for 30 minutes. And you have to go to the website. It's https:// Candely, CANDELY.com /apps APPTS VWD /Bob Pace. That's BOBPACE. When you go there, you can sign up for that 30-minute Zoom consultation. Use your credit card, pay the $60, and he will speak with you. It'll be the best $60 you ever spent. He'll talk to you about how to navigate and how to get your children back and how to fight CPS. If you haven't realized it now, fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You need a professional doctor to do open heart surgery. You're not going to have an auto mechanic or a plumber work on your heart. You're going to have a professional doctor. And that's why you need a professional attorney trained in dependency law with family and juveniles. That's the kind of attorney you need. And Mr. Davis is one. And he's offering a 30-minute Zoom consultation for $60. So don't pass it up. And if you like him, ask about his retainer, and he'll defend your case. And I had to hire him. I also had to sell my home to fight my case. I needed to come up with money for that. And so he brought my two boys back. Unfortunately, I lost my daughter through no fault of him or me, through a vindictive social worker that was doing retaliation against the parents because she committed perjury while on the stand. She lied. The question was asked during the adoption process of my daughter by my wife's sister and husband, what kind of parents were they? Had they had any domestic violence? And she said under oath, no, they're perfect parents, no domestic violence. Well, Mr. Davis had a folder in his briefcase he pulls out, and there's about 30 reports of physical, not just domestic violence, physical domestic violence that was taking place between my sister and her husband. So she lied. And she was very embarrassed in court when Mr. Davis called her out on a lie. She committed perjury. I could sue her. And if I had the money for the retainer, I would sue her. I would sue her. Because what she did was wrong. Taking my children out of my home when they're in school was a terrible thing that did. That was wrong also. They weren't in imminent danger. They weren't in imminent danger. There's no rationality. It just seems the MO is to take children right away. And you as parents can't really stand up to them because they got a policeman, and policemen are bad. They're intimidating, and they're going to make it sound like what they're doing is legal. What they did is not legal. So please contact Vincent Davis, because if you say you got a court-appointed attorney or you hired an attorney for a cheap amount of money who is just familiar with criminal law, you're going to end up, he'll take you for your money. The court-appointed attorney will take you for a ride. They have over 30 people that they're handling at one time, 30 clients. They don't have time for your case. They're going to get through it kind of quick, push it through. They're not going to fight for your children. It's a waste of time. So I cannot emphasize how important it is to talk to Vincent Davis, because he is the best. He's also done lawsuits, both in state and federal courts, where he's won millions of dollars by suing them, civil violations and your constitutional rights, your civil rights and your constitutional rights. He's won many a case like that. So please contact him. That's my rule number one, because it's important to have an attorney, because, as I say, in open heart surgery, you're going to have a professional doctor do the work on you. And that's what you need, because they're corrupt. They lie. They're so full of lies. There's so many articles you can watch how they've lied in court. And they've been taken to court. They've been prosecuted for those lies. They are a traffic organization. They traffic into foster care. Foster care is nothing but a front for their trafficking. Foster care is an easy way for parents to get children adopted. They don't have to go through any rigorous training. They're not vetted very well, and it's easy to be a foster care. Typically, to get adoption takes time. It takes money and a lot of vetting, meaning that you have to check to see your federal and your state claims, if you have anything. And it's a long process on adoption. But with foster care and the CPS, they very rarely bring them aboard, and there's a good chance your child will be molested in foster care. Foster care is very corrupt. I had a foster care mother. She did not want to adopt. She only wanted temporary house children. She was a nice lady. As I say, I've had 3 social workers here on my podcast. One was a clinical psychiatrist who worked as a social worker in the CPS department or the system of Maryland. And she had, and besides her college degree, she had 6 months of training with Maryland. So there are good social workers, don't get me wrong, but they're far and few. And your chance of running into a bad social worker is very high. All you have to do is think about the pink ladies in Prescott, Arizona. Decide to make pink T-shirts with what's stenciled on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they have, do you know where your children are at? And they parade around in Costco and Kmart, Target, Best Buys, etc., displaying that. They were caught, they were fired, as well as the director. That hurt the department because they're down to one person only that managing all the cases that come in. And I tell you, that was in Prescott, Arizona, the year 2022. So I have numerous stories about social workers. My social worker was corrupt. My social worker was corrupt. You know, they divorced us. They changed her name, her first, middle, and last, and then she sealed a birth certificate and got adopted in foster care, and the foster care got a new birth certificate. It's crazy what they do. They're so corrupt. And it's hard to fight against them. Nancy Schaefer did, but she's dead. So it is hard. I don't know if you can, start over, or you have to change things, but it is very, 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 very corrupt. And it needs to change, because right now they're going for the easy prey parent, the one that has much income, that may not know a lot, that's struggling in a relationship or whatever. They're going to go after that parent. And it's sad. They don't seem to go after the parent that takes a vacation for 13 days and leaves a child alone in a bouncy chair and comes back and finds the child dead. 13 days, a long time to go without food or a change of diapers. It was a terrible, terrible thing that I read. That was done in Ohio. And wow, it was really bad. It's really bad. There's some horror stories. My regular on here can tell some more. KK, you still there? Okay, KK left. She was talking on my phone, and I guess she had something she had to go here. But I really was happy to have KK on the show. I haven't talked to her in a while. Now, I have about 9 minutes left of my podcast. And again, if someone wants to call in, ask a quick question, or make a comment, please do so. With the remainder of the time, I'll go over my other rules. I haven't talked about it in a while. Rule number 2 is to get a notebook. You should get an 8.5 by 11-inch notebook, 3-ring binder. In it, stuff it full of college rule notebook paper. Then put in subject dividers and divide it up. And one of the most important subjects is your timeline, your incidents. You need to make a sheet of paper of all your incidents, whether related to the children, related to the CPS, or related to the police or the school, however they're related to family or friend. You're going to write down the date, the time, the location, and the people involved in the incident. Then in the next line, you want to do a summary of what the incident was about, a 1-sentence summary. Then in the third line, you want to put the outcome. What happened? Was it resolved? Or is it still open? If it's open, you got to leave it blank. And when you get the answer, you can fill it in. It may take some time to answer the incident. But do that for each incident, and you'll have hundreds and hundreds of incidents, but you won't be able to remember them all if you don't write it down. So it'll be valuable for you and your attorney and the courts as your case goes from year to year. It's not going to be over quick. Mine took, from 2015 of May. Well, actually, it was, I want to say June, maybe June of 2015 to December 2017. It's a long time. And they'd love to drag things out because they make more money. It's all about money. It's all about money. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is you should never let them in your house. Too many people have been killed lately by opening the door. We had a black airman who was in Florida, Gainesville, Florida, opened the door to his apartment in a locked complex, and it was gunned, shot point blank, a foot away 5 times. And he died on FaceTime talking to his girlfriend. Very tragic. That could have all been prevented. The sheriff that came, he's being persecuted. He was fired. Then there was a black lady that was arguing with a police officer in her home that she opened the door for, and she was doing her dishes, and he shot her 5 times in the face. 5 times, and she's dead. And he's with the deputy, and the deputy did nothing. He was fired that night, and then he was charged with manslaughter. The deputy is going to be charged too, or has been charged with abetting the crime there. He did nothing to stop it. Nothing to stop it. That was very tragic. And a third shooting recently was a Korean lady who had some mental problems, was shot and killed by policemen. They're very trigger happy. So we've had 3 people open the door. You don't want to open the door. Now, if it's CPS, they'll leave a card. If it's the police, they'll leave a card also. They want to talk to you. But they'll be back out again. So you need to respond to the card or the name and have your attorney talk to them. Tell them, if you see them, that my attorney will talk to you. You could encounter them outside of the home. Now, there's only 3 ways they can take your child or get into your home. One way is you give them permission. If you or another member in the household gives them permission, they can come in. And they're going to be looking for something. The CPS workers, the police will be looking. They'll search your drawer. They need a permission. They need a warrant before they do any searching. But they're going to come in your home. and turn your house upside down trying to find something against you. So that is something you don't want to do. Let them in. Now, if there's domestic violence going on, the police or social worker can come in if they're there to protect the child. If you have a child that's caught up in the crossfire between parents or between partners and they have a gun or a knife, that is no. You don't do that in front of children. Also, you don't do domestic violence such as arguing in front of children. You don't want to do that. So that is the second way. A third way is they have a court order. It's called a warrant. It's got to be a legitimate paper with a wet signature. It can't be a PDF file or your computer screen or some type of a printout thing. It's got to be a original document. And the way that original document is displayed is that there's a signature for the judge. The police or the social worker have to go before the court and ask for one. And they have to give reasons why they want it. It's not guaranteed they will get it. So that warrant also has the name of the individuals they're investigating. It's a husband and wife, wherever it is like that. Also, it needs to describe who the children are and the allegations and what they can do and cannot do. Like they can search the home or take your child away. That is a warrant. They got to have a warrant. And if they don't have a warrant, then you can get back to them through your attorney. You know, if they leave a card or such and such, you can call up your attorney and say, speak to these people. And this is about your case. It's a hard time to keep the family together, especially when you got a corrupt agency. When you have a corrupt agency, it's really hard. So that's the answer. The door would take away your child. Now be careful of medical trafficking. If your child is sick or hurt and you need to go urgent care or you need to go to emergency late at night, be careful. There's social workers there that will try to take away your child. They blame that you neglected your child. That's why your child's hurt. They'll make up some crazy story. They're out there fishing for more money and they will take your children. Also, if you're pregnant, the same thing can happen. You can have your baby and they'll try to take your baby with some allegation that you've been drugged out or something there. So it's really important that you don't allow those things to happen. So that is, another thing on medical trafficking is if you're pregnant, be careful they don't take your baby after you give birth. They have to have a court order, a warrant. And I know that there be circumstances that you can't do anything because they're so gun-ho. They want to be Billy bad people, and they'll take your child away. They'll take your child away. It's a terrible feeling when you've lost any decency with this agency. They're very corrupt, they're nasty, and they will take your children for the sole purpose of money. They don't care about family reunification or families. My fourth rule is to research the internet. You want to find out as much as you can about your city or your county and the topics that you look at. So you put the city, like if you're in Georgia, Athens, Georgia, you want to use a bigger city, say Athens and Atlanta, Georgia, CPS, and then your question, wherever it may be. CPS alert, that's the field you're looking at. And you may want to say, look up something like, how do I file a 388 motion? Things like that. So spend 60 hours researching the internet because you'll learn so much about your city or county and all the things that can go bad with that. So I want to end my show. It's now 8:00. I want to thank KK Richardson for being on my show from Brooklyn, New York. thank you to all the people that give me the thumbs up and the smiley faces and everything. God bless you all. I'll be on tomorrow at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and I look forward to talking to you. Don't give up. Take care.